leadership is critical, I think, to making knowledge management a success.
Knowledge sharing is very important because it gives them the opportunity to talk to each other.
If they have knowledge management implemented, will be very beneficial.
From my perspective, when they ask what is the beauty of the portal, is to the content.
In order to get this done, we have the commitment of our top management in ensuring that each agency that is involved in implementing certain initiatives cooperate with us.
For having KM as part of the culture of MIDA in the future.
That's why it's very critical that you record it, you put it in the database, and you manage it. So that actually is the essence of knowledge management. So thank you.
Portrays the key managerial aspect to instill a knowledge-sharing culture that will help our people work smarter and not only work hard but to work smart.
Is it something new? Because we are hearing about knowledge sharing today. I think 20 years ago we don't really talk about knowledge sharing. It didn't come into prominence.
We may be talking, but we are not communicating. We may be hearing, but we are not listening. We may be effective, right? Or we may be efficient, but we will not be effective.
Ladies and gentlemen, please understand this. Seize this opportunity. It's an amazing forum where it's one of the best.
I think all levels of management are involved. Of course, it started from the top.
It is with the collaboration of every agency that is involved.
Yes, about 5 of them, and they have 5 mentees for each.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I hereby officially open KConnect 2017.
Ladies and gentlemen, this year we have chosen knowledge sharing and learning for continuous improvement as the theme to emphasize on the importance of sharing knowledge.
We are very fortunate this morning to have with us two very prominent keynote speakers. I will now invite Yang Berbahagia Datuk Dr. Said up on the stage, and Prof. Vincent Ribier.
It is said that even though knowledge is reside everywhere, regardless, be it in the hardware, software, or whatever, but people are still the most important aspect in managing knowledge. To provide the services to the public, we ourselves must be equipped with a certain kind of knowledge.
So today I will talk about communities of practice. Communities of practice have been here for a long time. They have been very successful. They have proven to have a lot of value. These communities of practices can be face-to-face, or they can be also virtual when people connect or join eventually.
How to overcome people's attitude as they are in the comfort zone and reluctant to make any change.
Well, you need to give them incentives to do so. And people are quite, particularly the Gen Y, are quite playful, and they like these things of challenge, of accumulating points, accumulating things. And that might be also another vehicle for to get people to change.
After starting knowledge management in the organization or institution, then it failed. Why so?
I think KM can fail if there is no buy-in from the right people. That's why when Dr. Said mentioned leadership, I think that is the most critical element in the Malaysian situation. Unless the top people have a buy-in, they understand you, they push you, they drive you, you will not succeed because you will always have them questioning you.
Like, what are the more successful activities of KM that we can see KM at work?
Okay, in JKR we have, for example, a knowledge repository where we store everything in the form of a wiki, so that the knowledge can be accessible to everyone in the organization. We have a virtual communities of practice where the people can just post any questions pertaining to any technical matters or whatsoever. We appoint like moderators to answer the questions. We are compiling project lessons learned. By doing so, the other project teams will know what are the problems faced and what are the things that they should avoid, how they can do better in their own project.
I don't foresee any fallback. There's no setback of it, because at most is that make sure the management understand it is not for the benefit of individuals. It's more to the organization, how we sustain whatever knowledge that we need, which is actually an asset to the organization.
I'm responsible into making sure that before I leave into my retirement, so the knowledge and experiences which I have, I want to share, right? I do not know where is the best platform. This is the place which I should be putting in all my knowledge, my experiences into this platform, and to be making sure that whatever knowledge which I have, it is not gone to waste, but it's something for the future generation.
We have been reminded about the importance of, making sure that whatever information that we have, whatever knowledge that we have, we'll be sharing with others. Every success, dunia wa akhirat, okay, in this world and in the next. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Today, knowledge management without technology is not thinkable, because everywhere around us we have technology. We have mobile technology, we are now starting with augmented reality, we are starting with virtual reality, with cognitive computing, with all those things that affect our private life. As business and private life are connected, also organizations have to understand that knowledge management can utilize technology to be more efficient, to create more value for organizations, and to help them to innovate and to compete in a future market that we do not all know how it may look like.
When we introduced our platform JPedia and JCorp in 2008, we thought that JCorp and JPedia will be a drastic change to our organization from not even having a single platform for us to share knowledge and discuss and record it what we have in document, and having a platform is already a success. However, when we implement this drastic change, we forgot to manage this one big factor, managing change. JKR having 3,000 professionals, 20,000 supporting staff, managing change is very difficult. But the key success factor that we realize is that having a big organization in JKR, government in particular, enforcement plays a very important role. Because when we thought by having people voluntarily use the technology might get the impact of this platform, but it was not. So by having enforcement, people started to use the system. Then they realized that the benefit to it, the importance of using a single platform, using technology to share knowledge. But then again, this technology is based on IT. When we implement IT system, application and so on, we tend to focus on having everything inside. We need to have this module and we have to fulfill certain criteria with users' requirements. But at the end of the day, we get a very complex system. But it was not in JPedia, JCorp implementation. We started simple. When we started simple, people realized that it's so much, it actually assists them in sharing knowledge and so on. And that gave a great impact, enforcement and simplicity. But although success does not reflect only on participation, does not reflect on how much people use the system. Success is, we need to look into the impact of using the system. So impact comes into how much knowledge has been increased and how much people like to share knowledge and so on. That we have not implemented much. We have not measured that. So I think next in line would be to start to look into how much does the system and the platform, the care initiative actually impacted the performance of the organization in the aspect of knowledge and how much the increase of our knowledge amongst our experts, among our personnel, among our supporting staff and so on. Yeah.
There's been literally thousands of ways that IBM has been transformed through the use of enterprise KM collaboration technology. From the way that our internal support desk works these days, to the way that we plan and prepare for product launches or a new event. All of these things are, I think fundamentally, the word is velocity. You know, the way that we work these days has been, the pace at which we work these days has been improved dramatically through the use of collaboration and sharing and the reach of the KM platform that we have within IBM. Perhaps the biggest challenge is adoption, and I'll be talking more about this in my session. But there's this fundamental belief among some people that the knowledge is their power, their worth to the organization, so they must keep it, protect it as much as possible. But in fact, the opposite is true. The more information is shared, the more knowledge is shared, the more value that person actually has to other people, to their colleagues, and to the company itself.
Yeah, we already already embarked on a COP portal. We call it the iHikmah. It has been there for about 2 years now. And of course, it takes some time for the community to give more input to make this portal more beneficial. And of course, in this portal, we do have those people who seem to be sharing their knowledge and experiences, and those who are actually seeking some advice, some knowledge or experiences to solve some of their problems.
Technology is much more than an enabler. It is giving you a lot of opportunities as a company to utilize technology. Because, as I mentioned before, there are some organizations that not, for example, building cars like Apple or Google, but now they are leaders in the field of self-driving cars. So they utilize technology as an opportunity to tap into new markets and to reach, for example, new value creation models. And many companies can actually do that, but they have to make sure that they know what they know and they know what they don't know. So if they understand their resources by utilizing knowledge management technology, and they're also able to train their people by using new technologies, maybe mobile technologies, maybe intelligent and smart devices, then they can possibly, I would say, be much more competitive and be much more innovative than they are currently are. There are several companies who may be starting to virtualize their communities of practice. They starting to not only store the information that they have and prepare like knowledge repositories, they try to make knowledge much more interactive, much more fun, and much more personalized. And just imagine there are companies like Microsoft or even banks that are using, for example, intelligent software, smart software, to analyze their COPs or their chats and maybe to cluster and to understand the subject matters that people are talking about. So today we're talking about tagging. When you know Instagram, you know the tags. So by using certain tags, you can find every kind of information. But which company is tagging the information? So we are always starting to reinvent the wheel. So companies doing projects and the teams who are at that projects do not possibly know that a similar project is happening on another part of the world, maybe in another part of the country, or that a similar project happened 2 years or 3 years ago, and they would be able to utilize information or already findings from those projects if they just would have known. But they don't know it, because this information is somewhere in the system. Nobody find it, nobody can find it, and nobody actually had the routines to access it. So in this way, there are a lot of companies in the moment who are trying to use smart technology to utilize all the knowledge that they built in the past and to utilize it efficiently for the future.
Yeah, I would say it's not unique to KM. When we talk about people, technology and processes, I would say we need to get the processes in place first, and then it should eventually have people change as well as eventually culture change. Of course, when we have these kind of things, technology play a very important role, not only as an enabler or tool, but also, in my opinion, it will add value. So here, when we talk about people change, people will always be, motivated by something like a reward system. So if you have the carrot, then you also need to have the stick. So somehow the KM, when we are addressing the KM, here we need to actually bundle it, so that the people can see what's in it for them. And then you tie it up with the processes and then of course the technology.
I think it's important to understand that the technology is just an enabler. It should never get in the way of what you're trying to achieve. If you find that your business outcome, your business process is being dictated by the technology that you're using, you should really stop immediately and assess what it is you're doing. And secondly, when we start to introduce some of the newer technologies around cognitive learning and artificial intelligence, they should be used in ways that don't obstruct what it is that you're trying to achieve. In other words, they shouldn't be used to make decisions on the behalf of the employee. They should only really be used to advise and provide the best possible information so the employee can make the best decision themselves. One of the ways we do this with Watson is to help us summarize a conversation stream in intelligent ways. So Watson will analyze the text and understand whether that is a question, a commitment, an answer. It'll understand the intent and the sentiment behind the language that's being used.
When you ask today business people and strategy consultants about competitive advantage in the future, then they will always come back to one word, which is called innovation. And innovation is only possible when you have knowledge, when you are aware about the knowledge that you currently have in your organization and the knowledge that is desired to be innovative and to develop a competitive advantage in the future. So when you ask me if companies cannot survive without this technology or cannot create value, they are not competitive when they not manage their assets correctly, and they will not survive like Kodak, like Nokia, like many other companies, when they do not see the opportunities that lie in the future. And we can only understand the future if we have a knowledge about the past and we can anticipate what may happen in the future. So the key lies somewhere in the combination between the people, between the processes and the technology, and I think the people play the major part. And one of the biggest questions that we have to answer, and this is maybe the key of competitive advantage, is we have to be adaptive. So this technology can become a competitive advantage in the future when it is adaptive, when people understand it and when they can really utilize it for their own benefits.
The way that we manage and distribute information within IBM is incredibly important, and we have data protection best practices and policies in place to manage that. At the same time though, we don't moderate any of the communities that we have internally. Anyone can create a community, anyone can post a comment. It's really up to the user to take responsibility and to use their common sense. We found that adding moderation just creates an unnecessary overhead and slows down and inhibits the process of collaboration.
So there are several of these high-tech companies, if this is Apple, Google or Microsoft, that are now using cognitive computing, artificial intelligence, chatbots and even virtual reality for their activities. Just recently in Bangkok there's a digital hub opened who started to foster a Google project for virtual realities in classrooms. So there's a lot of companies who are now working on that, but from the company side in creating direct value, you have to think about, for example, banks that are utilizing communities of practice. For example, in the field of risk management, they see what there are people discussing about risk management, then they analyze these discussions, and out of this virtual communications, they find out there are some gaps in the knowledge of their people. So when 10 people asking the same questions in the chat, then the training before was not efficient, because otherwise not the same people will ask the same question before. So when you know that, you can customize your training program much more to the needs of people. And mobile technology also gives you the opportunity to individualize your knowledge, because everybody has a different learning style. Everybody has a different learning type. Some people learn in the morning, some people learn in the evening. So if you know that by the use of, for example, smart technology and knowledge management, you can address someone exactly at the right time with the right information in the right format, and you can make sure that those people learn more efficient, more effective, and creating value for the company. Because I think, to bring it on one sentence, we need smart technology, but we also need smart people who use that technology.
No doubt JKR has been in the construction industry almost 150 years. Our technical knowledge from on paper 150 years, we have favorable amount of experts who have technical knowledge. They can make decision fast by just looking into the issues and just looking into certain data, they can decide. But when it comes to sharing that knowledge and experience, they are having difficulty in expressing it, presenting it. When they try to explain it, people don't understand it. They assume people understand certain jargons. That reflects on the lack of presentation skill, communication skill among our experts. Technical knowledge alone is not sufficient. We need to have our experts to to have certain degree of presentation skill, which is very important, communication skill, how to express the knowledge that they have in terms of verbal expression. But comes to virtual community, we thought by having virtual community, by just typing the answers, will solve that communication skill and presentation skill, but it is not. The way they write, the way they speak is actually reflected in the way they write. They still assume that people know the jargons. They still assume that by telling these people understand. So we realized that being on stage or being on stage in virtual environment is the same. So it's important that we need to stress on that skill. What we did in JKR is that we started to introduce so-called, we name it Bring Your Own Mark session. It's a relaxed kind of session among those who want to share and those who want to listen. The expert will offer coffee, and those who want to listen will bring their own mark. That symbolically create a relationship. It create a very informal and relaxing environment, and we do it in a small room so that not so many people will attend it. We reduce the tents. From this Bring Your Own Mark session, the experts started to after several sessions, their communication skill and their confidence level becomes increased. From this session, then we move to brown bag in a bigger crowd with that confidence. So it turns out that in virtual community, a virtual environment, they present it in a better way. So it's a success story, at least in my division. So it's something that I like to share with everyone. This is that we thought by having technology, we reduce the environment, external environment in effect. It is not. So once we managed to solve this, confidence level, the communication skill, our experts in JKR will actually manage to, attracts more listeners, attracts more people to actually wants to get their knowledge because they have managed to present it well. No doubt they have all the technical expertise. By just include this small part of skills, the way that we facilitate and also make people participate in our virtual community collaboration platform will actually give a very big impact.
Everything is mobile today. So Asia is known for mobile first and for mobile only. I started 15 years ago and people came to my class with a book. 10 years ago they came with a laptop. And then 5 years ago they came with tablets. Today they do not even bring tablets anymore. Then everything is just happening on the mobile phone. And the same happens for companies. So you have today people working on different locations, flexible working times, the borders between work and private life becoming blur. So 15 years, 20 years ago, it was unthinkable that you're working on the weekend. Today we get emails on the weekend from job, we answer them. But during the working hours, we also get messages from Facebook and we answer them. So it's all today connected, it's all going mobile, and companies need to make their knowledge mobile accessible. But as the information on the mobile, it has to be fast and it has to be very, very concise. It is necessary that the systems that companies use are more precise, that they are more personalized, because nobody wants to read 20 pages PDF on a mobile phone. Nobody wants to get this information in all and every detail. You must be short, you must be very clear, and you must be customized for the moment and for the situation. So mobilizing knowledge is very important for competitive advantage and for value creation today. And I think in this area, there is a broad area where knowledge management is, I would say, the best way to support the development of companies and their business strategies.
We need to actually address how, when we actually have a KM in place, particularly in our case, we have iHikmah, this portal for us. We have challenges. I mean, we do have the benefits, but of course, I would like to highlight the challenges. The challenges here are, number one, we have designed this portal to be sort of stand on its own, isolated. So the challenge becomes when you try to make it useful or relevant. But we found out that the community in the university prefer to use something simpler like WhatsApp. So that's something like instantaneous. So the way forward, I believe, is rather to make our iHikmah, our KM portal, to sort of be isolated. If it can actually be part of a one-stop system where everyone seems to be like a stakeholder, okay, right from the top until those people on the ground. So I think that would be more meaningful, and people will love to use it as a very useful resource. Definitely. But again, when I say technology here, it hinges very